Sunny, is the camera on?
No.
No, right?
Oh, no, not yet. Want me to turn it on?
Yeah, go ahead.
Did you say how much?
Hmm.
Oh,
I said, go ahead and turn it on.
oh, I'm like, I'm hearing things.
Thank you. Good day, everyone. Thank you for joining us on this Board of Commissioners regular scheduled meeting, 12 p.m. August 23rd here at GHURA's main office. All right. Let's begin with roll call. Vice Chair Monica Guzman. Okay, I don't see her. She should be joining us, maybe. Commissioner Shizaki. Is that him? I see him online. Okay, I see him online.
I see him.
Sanchez. Commissioner Rice.
Here.
Thank you very much. Commissioner Corpus.
Present.
Okay. And Commissioner Delia is here with us in person. Thank you very much. And myself and we established quorum. Thank you very much. Moving on to item on the agenda number 2, board meeting, public announcements, first printing August 16th and second printing August 21st. And that is in your packets, August 16th and August 21st. And everything is in order, so we shall move on. Right. Item number 3, approval of previous board minutes of July 26th, which is also in your packets. Commissioners, if you have any corrections, please let us know.
If I may, Chair,
Sure.
the only corrections I noted were actually on page 11 of 12. In the first bullet, like towards the bottom of that paragraph where it says, but the point is, and then it says, is we would, anything, if we just take out is we would, it should say, but the point is, anything above 2.0 would be removed, etc. And then the next sentence says AE is working very hard to try and meet these requirements because we plan. Just take out we are.
Got it.
And then the third bullet, Two issues had to do with the program year 2020, it should say the consolidated annual performance and evaluation report that was not submitted.
Okay.
Has now been submitted. That's all I have.
Thank you very much. Okay.
Recording in progress.
There's no other corrections. Make it a motion.
I will make a motion to approve our board minutes of July 26, 2022.
Subject to correction.
Subject to correction. on page 8.
Thank you very much. I think we're getting a little too much.
I think you just need to turn off the mic because we have this.
Oops.
We get it? Yeah, I think we're okay. Okay, thank you very much. So I have a motion on the floor from Commissioner Delia to approve the minutes of July 26, subject to corrections. Do I hear a second? Okay, thank you, Commissioner Nate. I have a second from Commissioner Nate. Any further discussions on the issue?
I wonder if they can hear us.
And they hear.
Can you guys hear us? Are we good? Yes, okay.
Thank you very much. Okay, hearing none, call for the vote. All in favor, please say aye or raise your hand so I can see you. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay. Thank you very much. It passes unanimously. And I see that we have Commissioner Zaki online and Commissioner Nate also. Thank you. Okay, thank you very much. Moving on. Before we get into new business, I think it's appropriate that we welcome officially Deputy Fernando, right, for joining us. Fernando Estevez for joining us. He's here in the room if you can see him. All right, thank you for joining us and welcome on board.
Glad to be here. Thank you for the opportunity.
Absolutely. Okay. And we'll probably hear a little bit more from you at the end. Okay, let's move on to new business. Intent of award, item number 1, GHURA-06-23-2022 for AMPS 3 and 4. Madam Director.
Yes, thank you for that, Chairman Rivera. Okay, IFB number GHURA-06-23-2022 for AMPS 3 and 4, the renovation of 6 public housing units. The bid opening for the subject project was held on July 14th, 2022 at 2:00 p.m. A total of 3 contractors purchased a set of bid specifications, of which 3 submitted a bid. They were first contractor, Genesis Tech Corp, with a bid bond of 15%, base bid number 1 at $236,000. The second contractor was Surface Solutions with a bid bond of 15% at in the amount of $238,102.96. The third contractor was OH Construction with a bid bond of 15% at $227,000. The government estimate was $260,717.50. Base bid 1 is to renovate a total of 6 units. 3 are in Dededo, 2 in Agate, and 1 in Totu. Modernization of these units include electrical upgrade, replacement of termite-infested kitchen cabinets and base, retiling of floors, complete sewer line replacement, interior painting, exterior and interior door replacements, and replacement of existing water lines. A detailed scope of work is included in the bid documents for your review. In the review of the bid results, OH Construction provided the lowest responsive and responsible bid for base bid 1. OH Construction has completed several GHURA projects over the last year with good standing. They also have been cleared by the Department of Labor Compliance, OSHA, and EPLS debarred list. Based on AE staff's review and determination, we are requesting approval to issue the contract to OH Construction for base bid 1 in the total amount of $227,000. Funding is available under the Capital Fund program.
Thank you very much. Commissioners, do you have any questions?
Madam Director, Commissioner Nate here. The companies listed under bonding is BOG Bank of Guam.
I'm sorry, where?
I'm sorry, Madam Director, on page 2 of 16 on the itemized list, we have Genesis Surface and OH Construction. If you look to the right, it says name of bonding company.
Okay. I see that.
Yes, Madam. I'm sorry, excuse me. What BOG is?
If I can have, I'm trying to see if either Greta or Sunny are online with us.
Okay.
We can confirm, sir, if it's Bank of Guam. I would assume that it is.
Okay, I was assuming so. And then first, I'm
Thank
assuming
you.
Moylan's.
Moylan's, yes, sir.
Okay.
And we'll confirm, sir.
Okay, thank you, Sai.
Sunny, just curious.
Yes, sir.
The government estimate was 260 and OH Construction is at 227, which is like way below the government estimate, which is good. But you know what we're seeing, right, is the increase in prices and
Right.
whatnot. Do you have a explanation for?
Why has it gone? Why have we gone up higher? Well, there's a good chance that, you know, what we've experienced is a lot of price increases, and so our standards, our rates have gone up as well. Now, these three contractors, Genesis, Surface, and OH, I'm going to say it this way, in my opinion, whether it be engineering or professional or personal, they are getting accustomed to the pricing, and they're probably hiring and keeping their own people, as compared to when it first started. Two things make it very expensive: labor, of course. As they were first exploring, their prices were going up. But as they started getting accustomed to the scale of economy and of course keeping their people, they started stabilizing and being able to afford and be able to shoot or project out, I'm assuming, their prices. And so now they're able to start to come down.
Okay.
Yeah. That's how I would I would see it. I haven't really personally asked them why they can keep their prices low. However, when it is very low, we usually ask, we confirm with the contractors, are you able to keep this price? We give them one shot with no penalty. And if they say yes, we're good. Okay, fine. Because if they run into anything and say, hey, that's on you. Right. And so for the most part, OH Construction has been very good with their performance and price.
Thank you very much.
You're very welcome.
Excuse me, Sonny, one
Yes,
last
sir.
question in regards to OH. The price reduction does not compromise the quality
No, not at all.
based on your experience and causality and variables that you just described.
Yes, well, there is one of my staffers, his name is Mr. Bob Hess. He's an inspector.
Isn't it?
Yeah, and he keeps a close eye on these contractors. They're kind of becoming more and more common.
Sure.
Genesis, OH Construction, and there was one more. So those were the three, they kind of rotate.
Depending on the context.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yeah. So he's very familiar with their quality, and he'll come up to me and say, Sonny, these guys are either messing up or they're doing well. So far it's all been good.
Because in my experience with real estate development of Guam, you buy low, sell high,
Mhm.
and at the expense of the quality of the structure of development.
Mhm.
Right. So the last thing we need is the next big earthquake or the next typhoon that we haven't had in 50 years, right?
Oh, yeah.
So, and just quality is, in my opinion, cannot be compromised for the sake of saving a couple of dollars. And I'm sure if the premium was justifiable in contrast to the quality, I'm sure there would be a professional compromise.
Mhm.
Thank you, Sonny.
Oh, yes, we're very keen. I think that might be the most diplomatic word I can use right now about quality. And many of the contractors, when I first started here, they were not accustomed to that type of standard earlier. And so now they done, okay, we now know what Sonny and GHURA wants.
Absolutely.
Thank you very much.
Welcome.
Okay. Commissioners, do you have any more questions? Right. Hearing no other discussions, may you get a motion on the floor?
I will make a motion to approve IFB GHURA 06-23-2022 and 3 and 4 for the renovation of 6 public housing units. The award will go to OH Construction for base bid 1 in the total amount of $227,000.
Thank you, Commissioner Delia. May I get a second?
Second,
Okay, thank you, Commissioner Suzaki. I get a second on the floor. Any further discussions on the issue? Hearing none, may I call for a vote. All in favor, please say aye and or raise your hand so I can see you. 1, 2, 3.
Aye.
All right, thank you, Commissioner Rice. Okay, motion unanimously passes. All right, thank you very much, commissioners. Moving on to item number old business, right? That takes care of new business. Moving on to old business, item number 5. Number 1, contract amendment number 1, IFB GHURA 01/27/2022.
Thank you, Chairman. Okay, IFB GHURA number 01-27-2022 for AMPS 1, 2, 3, and 4, renovation of 7 public housing units. OH Construction has an ongoing contract to renovate 7 public housing units at AMP 1 in Assen, AMP 2 in Arahan, AMP 3 Mauricio and Agate sites, and AMP 4. During the pre-construction meeting, AE staff with OH Construction personnel conducted a site visit at unit number 132 North Doyle Street in Mauricio. Existing site conditions prompted GURA's AE staff to request the contractor for additional work not indicated in the original bid specifications. The cost analysis and justification of the original contract amount of $197,500. Number one, it's the removal of an existing mango tree. The scope for unit number 132 North Doyle Street, Mauricio, includes the installation of a drainage swale. But after further inspection, there is a nearby mango tree close to the drainage swale path, and its root growth point towards the direction of the drainage swale. Unless the tree and its roots are removed, we anticipate the tree and roots damaging the installed swale. Equipment and dumpster required was at a cost of $3,200. Second, the exterior yard cleaning at 132 North Doyle and 132B North Doyle, 2 units. The work scope includes trash removal and disposal of on-site vegetation, debris, household furniture, and goods. UMS construction trash bin rental was at a cost of $5,700. Based on AE staff's review, we are requesting board approval for a change order contract modification with OH Construction in the amount of $8,900 for the additional work that is stated above. AE has determined the cost proposals are reasonable and acceptable.
I do have a presentation.
Okay. So Sunny has a presentation.
Let me just tell them this on YouTube.
Okay, pull it out. Thank you, Madam Deputy. Madam Director. We do have a presentation. Okay, there it is.
Okay. Good afternoon, commissioners. Good afternoon, commissioners online. There was a lengthy discussion regarding. This is Sunny Ferris, by the way, Amy manager.
Sunny, maybe you want to move maybe back here that we can.
Okay.
They can see you.
Okay.
Are you able to?
Oh, that's right.
I'm sorry. Still see the screen?
Oh, yes.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. Let me move around. So this is the location of the former location of the mango tree. As you can see, the star is the former location of the mango tree. You also see the location of the new swale as well as the location of the existing swale. Now, a few things that I have to ask for your forgiveness, of course, is because when last board meeting, I did make a statement to Vice Chair Guzman that the tree was not removed. Well, that's when I made that statement, I made it in all honesty and sincerity. 10 minutes later, one of my staffers texted me and said, Sunny, the tree is gone. So I must apologize to all you commissioners and as well as Madam Director and Mr. Deputy that had happened. So it was just really poor coordination on our end. However, the reason why the tree, 2 things, the tree was removed because it is a HUD policy that whenever you have a large tree or a fully grown tree near GHURA or HUD infrastructure, anytime that the roots or leaves or the tree starts to endanger infrastructure, it is HUD policy to remove it. Due to they call it the Real Estate Assessment Center inspection policies. And every year, every other year, GHURA goes through those inspections. And if there is a tree that is deemed a danger to HUD infrastructure, we get dinged for it. There's a negative mark that we receive. And so that's one reason. But the other reason was also miscommunication. We did inform the contractor not to remove the tree, but it was just plain old downright miscommunication that the contractor had already proceeded. Also because there was a schedule. You know, these modification jobs have a certain timeline, and if we don't finish it within the timeline, then HUD starts to ding the AMP managers. because it's the whole facility that goes down the house plus the periphery infrastructure. So we're all just kind of pushing things along as best as we could before HUD could say, hey, you guys are late. We're going to have to give you, minus points. So, but nonetheless, there is a solution. Okay. Now you're probably wondering, well, Sonny, why can't we put the swale on the other side of the tree? Again, it's a matter of contour. And in the next picture, you will see, Ms. Audrey, next picture, please. There you go. You can see the new swale and the property contour. If we had put it where on the upper arrow, as you can see the water flow here, this is the existing swale. The contour of the property, if we had put the swale up here, then the water would be flowing back. While we want the water to flow forwards, which is on the bottom. That's why we had to put the swale to where it is now, which is this right here. Okay. And it was right next to the mango tree. So we know that there are other trees that may or will be removed. And so what we are doing now, next picture, please, Ms. Audrey. What we're doing now is we are communicating with UOG CIS, Dr. Austin Shelton, and we'll be coordinating a tree planting program to hopefully replace the trees, or we'll be planting new trees for every tree that we will be cutting down, because it's inevitable. There are going to be trees that we will have to remove. I think there's even 2 big ones right now nearby that we need to remove, only because it's really growing close to our facilities. Okay. And so we'll be having discussions with Dr. Shelton next week. We'll find a property down at, I think this picture was in Pneumatic or in Arahan. Dr. Shelton just mentioned that they had a tree planting last Saturday. So we'll probably have her own do some publicity shots, et cetera, et cetera. But that's basically our give back to the trees that we cut. We will plant new trees. Commissioners. There you go.
Thank you very much. Thank you for the presentation. I think we can get rid of the slides. Commissioners, do you have any questions or comments for Sonny? Sonny already begged for forgiveness and he already did his own penance. So I think I don't think we need to give him any more penance unless you feel it's necessary.
No, his contrition was quite.
Okay. His contrition was quite clear. Can we get that on the minute?
His contrition was
Right.
clear.
Thank you very much, Sonny.
So Sonny, I'm sorry, excuse me, Sonny.
Yes, sir.
So that really it's just the topography that was the issue.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
That's correct.
So
That's correct. That's what we had to put it where it was at. Otherwise, the water would flow backwards and it wouldn't work.
yeah, that's all we need is constantly digging everybody
Yeah.
due to the time frame. Right.
Yes, sir.
So thank you, right, Sonny, and please thank your team for their thoughtfulness in not only the logistics of it, but on the mindfulness, right? I think I don't think any of the commissioners, and I'm not speaking for all of them, but I don't think any of the commissioners are saying that we want to be in violation and make your jobs harder. But I think the direction that the governor has taken, and the administration has also been one of mindfulness, right? Mindfulness of the environment and sustainability. I know that that's good work that Dr. Shelton and the Center for Island Sustainability, University of Guam, and other partners have been doing. And I think it's just incumbent upon us, right, to be mindful of that and do our part, right, as an agency, and do our part in trying to mitigate, right, and find solutions in between that are not in conflict with our mandate or mission, and not making the jobs of the folks harder. But trying to find a happy medium in between it, right, and find a coexistence, right? So just want to say thank you for your mindfulness. And when you plant that first tree, we'll name it Little Sonny.
Yeah.
I moved to have a ribbon cutting, sir.
A ribbon cutting ceremony
Yeah.
of the first tree, right?
First plant.
And you can invite us to the ribbon cutting.
Yeah.
All right,
We love it.
okay. Any other questions, commissioners? Okay. Hearing no other questions, I think there's, Madam Director, there's a motion needed on this. Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay, thank you
We
very
do
much.
need a motion.
Okay, can I get a motion on the floor for approval of GHURA 01/27/2022?
All right, I'll do it. So I move to amend to contract amendment number 1 for IFB number GHURA 01/27/2022, amps 1, 2, 3, and 4, renovation of 7 public housing units in the amount of $8,900.
Okay, thank you, Commissioner Suzaki. May I get a second on the floor?
Second that, Mr. Chair.
Okay, thank you, Commissioner Nate. I have a second. Any further discussion? Okay. Hearing none, may I call for the vote? If you could please say aye and or raise your hand so I may see you. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Thank you very much. Motion passes unanimously. Thank you, commissioners. On to item number 2 on section 5 of old business change order Interrock basketball court.
I have a presentation, Mr. Chair.
You have a presentation. Thank you, Mr. Simon.
I don't see that as part of our packet though.
I-
Am I missing?
Oh, this is just an
Oh, it's,
update.
okay, gotcha.
Yeah, just a. Yes. Okay. Go ahead and press enter, Ms. Audrey, please. Okay. I'll start my presentation after we'll be there. Okay, thank you. Good afternoon again, commissioners. This is a little snippet video of the Interrock basketball court. As you recall, Mayor Chargaloff did have a little article in the newspaper about this project. And as you can see, rightfully, he had some issues with it. A lot of overgrown grass. It looks like the place wasn't being taken care of. And so there was a problem that GHURA had with the contractor. Now, before I move forward, let me just give you a little history behind it. This project was awarded to JJ Global back in 2020, right before COVID. Before COVID, the pandemic had shut down or slowed down a lot of our operations. We weren't able to get the building permit until a year after, which is April of 2021. The project then grew some feet, started moving forward again sometime in September, but because of the contractor having difficulty with labor and compliance issues, turning in the paperwork, not having, it's not about illegal aliens or anything like that. He just had a hard time being able to fill out the right papers and turning them in correctly. They weren't getting paid. So of course he ran into some money and cash flow problems, but that has been since resolved. And so now, next slide, please, Ms. Audrey. And so now they've started the work again. There's a lot of progress that has been made. As you can see, they've put up the barriers, the concrete barriers, as well as the foundation, patterns, you might say. And next one, please, Ms. Audrey. They're started working again on the restroom structure, and as you can see, the basketball court frame there as well. Okay, and the last shot, please, Ms. Audrey. And there you go. So this is as of today. Right? We had, now they're looking at, JJ Global is looking at a completion of 60 days from now, from August to September, October. Late October is, they're shooting for a completion of late October or early November. Okay. Weather permitting, of course, if not anything sooner. Now, again, this was just an update. There are a few change orders that they'd like for us to discuss, but I will not be bringing that up until the future board meeting, because right now we are still working with them to understand and to make sure it is acceptable in A&E's eyes, because I can't tell you to accept it if I don't believe it. So there you go. But I just wanted to make sure that you know that this project is moving forward. I know that there probably was a concern from all of you that we were put, or this project was in the newspaper. So now it's not. Okay, it's actually moving forward. Okay,
Thank you for the update, Sunny.
you're very welcome.
Commissioners, do you have any questions for Sunny?
Excuse me, Sonny, thank you for that presentation again, and thank you for giving myself and the rest of the board members apprised of the progression of the basketball court. So alongside everything that you had mentioned that, you know, JJ Global has not been able to do, that has been since resolved.
Yes, sir.
What have you personally experienced with this company as far as not being able to progress the way that you have expected them to progress?
Well, I think, you know, for the most part, they were just not accustomed to the amount of paperwork that
was the biggest issue.
Yes, sir.
Okay,
It was the administrative hurdles that they had to get accustomed to.
sure.
Just like all the other contractors. I mean, you weren't able to experience that with, let's say, the OH construction, the Surface Solutions, but they went through their own growing pains as well.
So this is basically labor pains.
Yes,
for
sir.
the majority of the contractors.
Mhm.
Okay.
Sure.
Are you currently experiencing any negative feedback or friction from JJ Global in reference to this project?
Mhm.
Not at all.
No.
Who is their point of contact?
Right now, it's Mr. Raymond Kennedy.
Raymond Kennedy?
Yeah, he's the new business development manager. Before him, it used to be, gosh, it was a lady, Eileen something, I forget her last
Okay.
Is this one of JJ Global's first huge projects or collaboration with the government? Or they've done other
name.
projects?
They've done other government work. I can recall they may have a project right now down in Port Authority.
Right, because they've been known for lawn care
Yeah.
and janitorial services, things
Right.
like that, like advancement.
Right.
And I was just wondering, because when he said the paperwork, right, they're not used to like the process and
Sure,
stuff.
yeah.
sure.
That's why I was wondering if that was one of the challenges, so that they understand what the process is
Yes.
going forward.
Absolutely. I think any company deserves the right
Yeah.
to, you know, get their feet wet and go through the exact same, go through the process and go through the motions, you know, whether it be good or bad. But if they're learning, and we've created an environment of reciprocity between the agency and the company and the organization. So again, just to reiterate, the rest of the board members,
Mhm.
commissioners, but I appreciate you facilitating that for these contractors. It's not an easy thing, especially when you're dealing with federal money,
Mhm.
right?
Yes,
So everything is microscoped, everything is magnified. And yeah, so thank you for being the buffer. Yeah,
sir.
so,
Yeah, I think the biggest challenge is the decision whether to just cut it.
Yeah.
And start new. But then that risk nowadays is a price increase of
Yeah.
30, 40, 50%.
yeah, inflation's insane right now, and cost of labor, like you mentioned, is just outrageous.
Mhm.
So things aren't going down anytime soon. I appreciate you considering the variables on cost, the
Yes, sir.
difference between cost and price, and thank you for recognizing that.
You're welcome, sir.
Should have a sunny day.
Sunny day. That's a good one.
No, I don't know.
Do you anticipate any other hangups or stalls with this project? Because I know that it's been some time, right? Are you anticipating anything else?
Mm,
No.
Like you mentioned, pending weather,
Right,
acts of God. things like
yes.
that.
Right.
Yeah, we'll be bringing up the change orders in the next board meeting. Yeah, the ones that, again, we've accepted. So,
So assuming everything is status quo, what would happen if they don't hit their mark by late October, early November?
we'll let you know, sir. We will let you know. Usually there's of course, oh gosh, what do you call that? The penalties, whatever penalties there are for the delays.
I know, because from our previous board member, our board meeting, he had mentioned that we given them, this is their last chance, basically, if I remember verbatim, or something like that.
Yes, sir.
Along those lines, right? So, thanks for being patient with them.
Oh,
Yeah.
well, we need to be, sir.
Thank you for the update. Commissioners, any further discussion? Okay. Hearing none, thank you for the update again. Moving on to item number 6, our correspondences and reports. We have Gumatrank Piladad, program status report. Item number 1.
So Chairman, before I have Pearl take over, so what we have is we're having our different divisions do a presentation so that all of the new board members, as well as yourself, are more familiar with the different divisions. So we have a schedule of who is going to do a presentation at each of our forthcoming board meetings. And so Guma Tranquilidad is one, and then she will go into that. And as well, we have Irvin Santiago, who is our program coordinator at Guma Tranquilidad, and he'll talk about the multifamily service coordinator program. And so I will defer to Pearl. She did provide documents in your board packet, and maybe Pearl, you can just give the brief history of Guma Tranquilidad, and if they have any questions on the statistics that you're showing, they can address that. Okay.
Good afternoon. I'd like to thank the Board of Commissioners for having me and giving me this opportunity to report Guma Tranquilidad.
Hey, hold on, Pearl, we're getting feedback. I think it's coming from you. Try again. Okay, it's gone.
Okay. We're okay? Okay. So you did receive in the packet the status report.
Girl, I'm sorry. Maybe we can, if you lower the volume a little bit. Let's try that.
She might have a speaker and her laptop on at the same time. So one needs to be turned off.
Are we okay now?
Yes.
Okay. Thank you. So as you received the status report on Guma Tranquilidad, I just wanted to elaborate on a little bit of Guma Tranquilidad's status. As you can see, we do have units that are ongoing upgrade and renovation. This isn't similar to the public housing side, only that the fact is it's not tapped into the cap funds. We're currently using reserves for that. Going to the quarterly report, if you look at the latest quarter for the month of June, we're currently at 96% on that. We do have a waiting list at 55, and we are currently, interviews are currently ongoing right now for selection to fill in the 2 vacant units. Currently, one is completed for lease up and just recently got completed, and the second one is ongoing renovation, renovated. The next the turnaround usually is depending on the damages of the unit. If it's severe, of course, it'll extend but the turnaround usually is give or take 2 weeks in order to lease up the unit. With the latest unit that's currently being renovated, it may take a little longer because of sitting water within that unit. So our maintenance would need to lift up all the tiles from that unit and replace them. Do we have any questions so far?
None so far.
I'm here if you want to know more, or if you have any other concerns or about my reports.
You know what, I do have one question, Pearl. So,
Yes,
so
please.
what's the status of that solar panel project? Did they ever get started? I kind of got lost on that.
I can address that, Commissioner. Sunny and I can address that. So actually what's happening with that is that when it was awarded, we were supposed to go into a memorandum of agreement or MOU with the company. However, it went to the AG's office, and the law that has to do with leases, any leases with government agencies that are over 5 years, and the lease with the solar company is 25 years, right? And so that was a roadblock. So we are still in the process of trying to determine how to get around that, whether it's legislation that has to exempt GHURA from that lease, the 5-year lease, because this is where we're leasing a fixture, right? It's not leasing a lot. Leasing property, it's a fixture. So Sunny can help to elaborate on this too. We met recently with a solar company. We're very much wanting to move forward with providing solar energy to Goma Tranquilidad, especially because should the power go out, we do have some residents who need to have consistent power for either their oxygen tanks, what have you. But right now, it's been stalled because we're trying to figure out what's the best way forward with the contract, because the MOU is not working out, and we're trying to figure if it's a outright purchase that we're going to have to do and identify the funding for it. So that's where it's at.
Thank you.
Sure.
Pearl, I got a question.
Yes.
I'm just looking at the stats, right? When you talk about family size, there's a single and a couple. Are there other people allowed to stay with these residents at Goma Tranquilidad?
Because our units are just a 1-bedroom units, it's very small, and pretty much the occupancy is 2 per room. So that's 2 in a bedroom, and then this living room is considered a sleeping area.
Okay.
So yeah, it's very tiny in there.
And the reason why I'm asking, right, is because I'm looking at your stats, right, and your family size, right, singles 44, couple, I would assume that's 2 people, right? So that 44 plus 6 is 50. Your race breakdown is 50 also, which matches. But then when you look at your handicap disabled, right, 22 plus, is that, I'm assuming that's a crossover because some of them are elderly and disabled. Is that what it is?
That is correct.
Okay. what is the average time that your turnover is with regard to this? So like when you have a vacancy, what is the average time? Because you have 50 people on the waiting list. What's the average time you get somebody back in?
The average would be 2 weeks.
2 weeks.
Yeah, given the renovation, of course, and then the selection from the wait list. And that could be that the families are having difficulty either gathering their paperworks and need more time, or they're buying a little bit more time for their security deposit and their rent share, whether it be prorated or the full month's rent.
And is your wait list, is that redone on an annual basis, or is that just a rolling wait list? And is that capped at a certain number, or that's just the number of people that actually applied?
Excuse me, can you repeat the question again?
Wait list, is that something that you do every year, or is that just like a rolling wait list that once you're on that wait list, it kind of stays, or do you open that up every year and see what kind of pool there is?
Okay, so basically the waiting list is open when we exhaust everyone off the waiting list. So the wait list can roll over to the next fiscal year, or to the next calendar year, until I exhaust everyone off of the waiting list, meaning either I offer them and it's up to them whether they accept it or decline the offer and move forward. So once I exhaust everyone off the waiting list, then I reopen the waiting list to accept more new applications.
So is
That way
there,
it gives,
I guess my question is there a chance that there are more people out there that we just haven't accounted for?
that's a possibility, only because especially after during and after the pandemic, we did try to reach out as much as possible we sent out information to these to like CSS, DISID, a lot of areas to inform them that our waiting list is open. And I just feel too that it probably didn't reach farther for a certain, I'm not sure, only because after the fact, now these families are now coming here recently to wanting to apply. So I was like, they didn't elaborate more, even though I tried to ask them about it. They just want to know about the place. However, I'm sure that they're just not, people are moving basically. Their families moving, and the elderly doesn't want to leave the island.
So maybe Chairman, one of the things that people wonder is, okay, we have a wait list, but if we have a wait list, how many units are actually available when they're going through the wait list? Because for the most part, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, Pearl, but I believe once people get into Guma Tranquilidad, there are very few units that open up, because once they get in, they stay there until, they're evicted, which is rare, or they, end of life, right? Yeah, because, yeah. So we don't have very many units available. That's why the wait list continues to close quickly, because it's usually maybe 1 or 2 units that might be available at the time that they're opening the wait list and they're processing. Yeah, if there's only 49 units, once they get in, they usually they try to comply so that they don't end up having to lose being housed there.
Correct. And I think the emphasis for my question, right, was some of the discussions that we were having with HUD with regard to their abilities to know what our exact position is, right? And I think that it'd be important for us, and that's just the reason why I'm asking, is because if there are more people than what we have on the wait list, then I think it might be beneficial to us to know that. And then constantly, relay that information to HUD. I realize that we only have a limited amount of inventory, but I think sharing with HUD on a continual basis what the needs are of the island and how much demand we are meeting versus what inventory, right? That they may have things on their end that we don't know about, and that could help, right? And I think that information is just important to have, and that was the reason why I was asking.
No, and I believe there are some people that have been on the wait list for at least a couple of years before they were even able to get into an available unit. Correct, Pearl? I know some, since I've been here, were on the wait list for 2 years before it was finally their turn on the wait list because a unit became available. So yeah, that's why it's like, 49 units down there in prime property is, yeah, you only benefit 49 families. And it's usually a couple, or the only other persons that can live in a 1-bedroom unit down at Cuman Tranquilidad is if a resident requires a caregiver, but they have to go through what the eligibility is for a caregiver that can stay with them. But we don't have very many of those. It's either a couple or a single elderly person that can live independently, because it is independent living units.
Right. And I think that information is an important part of the story, right? For our narrative, if we are even going to explore some other options with HUD, the wait times, right? And the availability is one thing, but the wait times that our people are experiencing is a good to track with regard to our narrative.
Mr. Chairman, hi,
Yeah.
this is Norma St. Nicholas. I
Okay.
used to manage the Gumat Tranquilidad, and you're correct about the information about needing that information to explore more projects. And that is how we ended up with a project base with Cortec. We have 112 as a result of Gumat Tranquilidad, being limited to 49. And in fact, at one time, we even explored the possibility of rebuilding Gumat Tranquilidad to make it a 5-story unit. But we had very strong opposition years ago. And so the project just dropped. But you're correct in that part about the data, because that's how we were able to justify building, or at least going into a private partnership with Cortec,
Right.
to build that 112 project base,
Right.
for elderly.
Okay.
But you're correct about that.
Thank you. Commissioners, any further discussion or questions?
Oh, incidentally, one more thing. The reason why they're closing the wait list for all our housing programs is because of that law that was passed that requires us to serve US citizens first. So this applies to Gumat Tranquilidad as well. So in order for us to make sure that we are not violating fair housing law, we have to close the list and serve everyone on that list before we have to open it up again. That's applicable to all our housing programs.
Okay, thank you very much. Any other questions, commissioners?
Hi, Pearl. This is Commissioner Sanchez. Thank you for putting all this data and this information together for us. We really appreciate it, and keeping us, again, organized and apprised of these numbers and figures that make it possible for us to, convey what we need, what we don't need with HUD, facilitate a working environment. And thank you, Ms. Norma, as well, for your input.
Thank you very much. Hearing no further, any further discussions on this? Hearing none, Madam Director, may we move on to item number 2?
Yes, please. And so I'd like to introduce Irvin Santiago. He is our program coordinator down at Gumat Tranquilidad. He's been a blessing and an asset to GHURA because he has a social work background, and the residents at Gumat Tranquilidad just absolutely love our Irvin Santiago. And so he will give you some brief report on what he does, what his program is all about.
Hi, good afternoon, everyone. My name is Irvin Santiago. So I'm the service coordinator for Guma Tranquilidad, and my job here is to access resources for the elderly. That could be meals, housekeeping, light housekeeping, even employment. We've worked with some residents to gainfully get employed. The other thing is just to improve their living conditions. I'm an advocate, so I had meetings with the site manager here, which is Pearl, on how we can improve the living conditions or even certain activities that our elderly can have. Pre-pandemic, we used to have at least 2 activities or outreaches that was provided by different community organizations. But because of the pandemic, we kind of scaled that down because, these are elderly and we wanted to prevent them from getting COVID or getting sick. We've recently started providing certain activities just so that they can get out and feel, not isolated and to enjoy each other's company and enjoy other people coming into our facility to talk to them, to have bread with them, and to sometimes even dance with them. In my report, I've serviced, this is from October 1st of last year to August 1st of this year. I've serviced 55 residents. And out of the 55 residents, we've done activities or outreaches or even service with isolation, with banks, with meals, and we've done about 1,054 activities with repeats. If you look, number of residents and then number of times on the breakdown of service coordinations performed. So we do a lot of outreach because we want to make sure and do assessments to make sure that they're still able to do their different life skills. And that's something that I constantly have to make sure that I do, because an elderly could be very mobile today and in about a month because of a sickness or even a small fall, that could change a lot. So we do a lot of outreach, and thankfully that I actually have an office at Guma Tranquilidad, so I don't actually have to drive to these different houses. I can walk and see them on a regular basis. Lots of the new activities that we're trying to do with the community engagement is we've had since the governor has opened because of the pandemic and COVID, we've had Mother's Day dinner here, and that was done by the Korean Bowling Association, where they brought in food and we had a little bit of a gathering, some dinner, some dancing, and some performance by the Korean Association. We've also had Team Isla from a Sensi group that came during the month of May, because that's Senior Citizens Month. And they came in and they gave them Sensi gifts. So those are very nice, and they were able to talk to our elderly. Our elderly really enjoyed their company. The other ones we've done is that we're very excited about is our residents have decided that they want to be more involved in how they live their lives here and with different activities. So they formed a association, which is Guma Tranquilidad Residents Association, and that was in June, just about 2 months ago. And so right now it's just the beginning phase, and we're trying to just get them where they're situated and figuring out what is the purpose of their association. And that's ongoing discussion that I have with the officers of the association. And recently, we also, before pre-pandemic, we used to always have free haircuts. About every month, we would have free haircuts, and sometimes they would dye hair as well. Recently started that in July, and so we're hoping, because the elderly love getting their hair done. And so we recently started that up, and hopefully the next one will be in September. I'm looking at upcoming events, which is the haircut and hair color down on the last page. And also a Thanksgiving dinner that we're working on, and Christmas dinner, which we used to always have pre-pandemic. And then the other thing that we're working on is the UOG Cedars, looking at them bringing their assistive technology here presentation so that the elderly can see what is out there for them. Whether it's, I remember working with them on bringing telephones that are magnified in the sound so that our elderlies can hear better. And also with flashing lights when we have an elderly that is deaf, and the light flashes when the phone rings or someone's out at the door, and because they're hard of hearing, they're able to avail those services. Other than that, if there's any other questions that I'd like to answer.
Thank you for your presentation. Commissioners, do you have any questions? Irvin, I just have one question and just so I'm understanding the report, I'm looking at the service coordinations performed, the chart that you have there.
Yes.
Those number of residents, right? Those are unique. So I guess my question is, does like, for example, would you count the same person as advocacy and assessment, or those are just unique?
So the assessments are, it just depends on the different residents. Some residents are like, when we go out there, they're mobile and they're very independent. We have lots of very independent residents here. And so once we see a decline and that's where I get a lot of help from even our site manager. If she notices, or even our maintenance worker notices there's a decline, or we haven't seen somebody for a while, then I will go out there and schedule a meeting with them and see how they're doing and see how we can assist them if there is a problem.
I guess my question is, again, this is just for me, right, to try to understand the numbers that I'm looking at. So when I'm looking at, and I guess let's move to the other column, right, number of times.
Yes.
Is there instances where like the same activity counts like twice or three times in different categories?
So if you look at the number of residents, that's the number of residents unduplicated, right? And then the number of times, the 41 is duplicated. So that's like if I had to go back again to see them.
But is there an example? Is there a case where you would, for the same instance, count advocacy, assessment, and benefits and entitlement, like for the same instance, right, that you report it 3 times? Is that something or is it just what's the best category?
Yeah, so it's really the best category. But like when we do the assessment and there's a benefits, entitlement, insurance, so benefits usually fall under like Department of Public Health. So when I do the assessment, I figure out what is it that they need. So like one of the issues that we're running into is Medicare buy-in program, right? The Medicare buy-in program is where Department of Public Health, if an elderly has Medicaid, the Medicaid program pays for their Part B for the Medicare. And so when I look at, when I do the assessment, it's not just physical assessment, like what else what are they paying for? What incomes that they might, that we can help in that sense, like how do we make sure that they have enough money for the month? Because they're all on fixed income. And one of the things that we've noticed, or I've noticed, is that Medicare buy-in program is not available to some of our elderly. And so after doing the assessment, I will call Department of Public Health, find out who their eligibility specialists, and we work on finding out if they're eligible for that program. Because like that would be like about $125 saved for each resident here, because then Medicaid will pay for the Medicare Part B. And then so from then we can work on the benefits. But the other thing is, because of COVID, so after the assessment, we also find out that, there's renewals that's going to happen. Renewals for food stamp, Medicaid, MIP. So one of the things that I've done is I've collected all their documents and their applications, their renewal applications, and I fill that out for them with their assistance. And I'm the one that goes to public health to turn those in, because the wait sometimes is just longer than they can sit in a room. I'm usually there for an hour, and then I have like 5 different clients that I go through, and I make sure that it's turned in and all the documents are there.
Okay, Mr. Chair, may I?
Thank you.
If I may.
No, absolutely.
I think what he's asking, half a day, or if I could just clarify. So here's a scenario. So if you go to a resident and you see that the house is not made, they have nothing to eat, as an example, and they're complaining of healthcare needs, right? And you determine this just at face value on your initial assessment. Do you then say only mark them on that visit, like, okay, I'll provide you a meal and that's it for the day, right? Or if there are, let's say, 3 outright services that are going to provide, are you counting that same resident for 3 instances for that resident, right? Based on category. Is that kind of along the line?
Okay, so with the assessment, it's if I do the assessment, I go in and I do the assessment. Depending on what we figure out, what they may need, because that usually the assessment is usually done at their home, right? I go to their house and we talk, and I try to get to know them very well and what they may need, whether they need it now or they need it in the future. When I log that in, that is the assessment. And then when I start working on, say, their benefits, that is a different category that I will start working with, or even meals. There's a category there that says meals. Yep. So working with HSP to get them into the program for meals to be delivered, or meals to be provided at the senior centers, and even housekeeping, if housekeeping is something that is needed. It just depends, because the assessment is really just to assess how they're doing, and then the other things take a lot more time to get the services in place.
So bottom line of that is, one person could be here under category of number of residents multiple times, right? So let's say somebody.
Yes.
Okay, I think was that what we're trying to say?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Got it.
So these are not necessarily individual residents. These could be 1 or 2 cases that are taking multiple, that need a lot of support.
Yes.
Is what we're trying to clarify. Okay.
Yeah. Thank you, Irvin.
I don't know if it'd be helpful maybe in the future to somehow separate that. Just because it could be, maybe just change the category title by number of services provided instead of number of times, or maybe a 3rd column that can delineate, whether this is only 5 people, right, that are taking up all these, or 10, because I think it makes a difference in terms of planning and data analysis, how we would look at that, right? Yeah. Because it would present a different problem set, right? Is it 2 people with a huge amount of issues, or is it 20 people with like issues, based on specific types of categories? And And I only bring this up just because of the work I've done at Public Health and with putting together their resource center. And in terms of kind of pulling in other government of Guam agencies to better help support residents, I think that type of data set might be helpful. We can maybe just break that down a little bit. Just so at face value, it's a little bit easier to kind of break down and understand, right? But otherwise, thank you, Irvin.
I think, Irvin,
Thank
if
you.
I may, under
Yes.
your grant funding, is there a template that they provide you where that's how you have to note the number of times services are provided?
So the template that you see on the report, that's exactly what I turn into to the SFS report to HUD. Yes.
Okay.
So
that's their
that is how
requirement.
it's broken down. Yes.
Yes, thank you.
But I can fix the software, the program to probably capture what our deputy is asking.
Right. Thank you, Irvin. Yeah, I agree with the deputy, right? When we're looking at the data flow, it's important that we understand really what the cause of the problem is, right? And then because the next question we're gonna ask is how can we help you, right? And there may be two different scenarios. You know, the one scenario, as he mentioned, could be that there's few residents with really strong needs and a high frequency of needs, or there could be a specific issue such as such as education that everybody needs, right? And it's coming up pretty frequently, and so we need to, when we start to prioritize either funding and or effort, right, that we should focus on either or. So I think that just helps us to better understand what how to help in case that we need to as a board, right, or as a executive management. But yeah, thank you for doing that. Commissioners, any other questions on this presentation? Okay, hearing none. Thank you very much, Irvin, for your presentation. Moving on, Madam Director, your report.
Thank you for my executive director's report. It's really a brief one, but I did want to just reiterate that the HUD officials were on Guam to attend the August 10th ribbon cutting of the Section 108 I Learn Charter School. And they were really pleased to see the end product of the funding that went into that very first Section 108 awarded in this regional area. And their schedule, of course, for that whole week included technical trainings and meetings with myself, fiscal, CDs, and RP&E staff, and some of the subrecipient partners that received grant funding from the CDBG programs. Also meeting with our Board of Commissioners, as well as with the Lieutenant Governor and Governor. And I think overall, after speaking with them, I believe they were very happy to have come, because it's been a couple of years. They did indicate that they normally come once a year, and it's been a couple of years pre-pandemic since they've been to Guam. And then I did want to indicate that our community development, RPE, and our A&E staff attended the 7th Assembly of Planners Symposium, which was held on August 17th and 18th. And their feedback was that it was a worthwhile symposium for them to have attended. And I heard back from some of the other agencies that GHURA staff really represented us well, especially Ms. Kathy Titano. I think she was probably the one that had to do most of the speaking on GHURA's behalf. And then, of course, an upcoming event is our participation in the GovGuam Labor Day Picnic, which will take place on September 5th at Ipa Beach Park. Details of the activities will be forthcoming, and of course, we will be cordially inviting you to attend that event with us. And then lastly, and again, welcome to our new Deputy Director. This is only his second day on the job. So hopefully we haven't been overwhelming him with all the information that, he's trying to get up to speed with. The last thing I did want to mention was, I know you've seen the articles in the paper regarding the violent incident that took place at the housing development that they reference as GHURA 506. And so with the help of Kathy, she was able to give me some background on what the GHURA 506 is. It for sure is not anything that is under our watch as far as like our public housing sites, okay? It was simply one side of several where 500 units were created in the 70s and 80s funded by GHURA. The sites have not all changed names like with this one, but those are not low to moderate GHURA communities any longer. Those homes are owned privately for the most part. GHURA's role was to develop the land, not the units. We have one remaining tied to the properties of the 500, and that is we convey the land to the homeowners when the families are ready to either refinance, transfer, or sell their properties. There are no ongoing HUD requirements tied to these properties. I do know that the family that has, the victim is one of our GHURA Section 8 tenants. And, the program is open to any requests that they may have to have a voucher reissued to allow them to move to another unit elsewhere. So it's really up to them to do that. But the GHURA 506 is not under GHURA's, we're not landlords for those units. Did anybody have any further questions regarding that? I do have Kathy online. Should you have any questions?
No, I think that's very helpful, right? Thank you for clearing it up, right? And I read the article too, right? And of course, our thoughts and well wishes and prayers go out to the family, right? That violence like that is never condoned. But that was questions that I had as well. So thank you for clearing that up.
Sure. And with that said, I don't have anything further on my director's report unless you have any questions that you want me to address at the next board meeting that we have, or address now if I can.
Commissioners, any questions? Okay.
Well, just a comment, Mr. And
Absolutely.
Liz, thanks for the brief. And I know you folks are getting all the work done to appease HUD, but maybe next time you can give us another status report on HUD, how we're doing with their whatever issues they may have.
Sure. And I will do that because there are a couple of items that have already been, reports that have already been submitted. And so I think the next board meeting will be a better time for us to go through the list that they had. But we have had a couple that have already been resolved. So I will report on that at the next meeting. Thank you.
Thank you. And I forgot to say, welcome aboard, Deputy. I just want to say hello.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, so, Madam Director, I just want to congratulate you and the team, right, on the Section 108. I think for the sake of the record, it's important to note, right, what a significant milestone that is, right? And I Learn Academy, not only being first to use it in the region, but a really great example of a community coming together. I know that at the groundbreaking or at the ribbon cutting, they were talking about how it was a long journey, but the former director, the late director Ray, stuck to it, and the team really stuck to it, right? And so I just want to congratulate everybody on that unanimous effort, right? And it shows really the ability of GHURA, right? And I think that far too long GHURA has been and had the reputation as just being low to moderate income, but I think that really what we're saying is that GHURA has the fantastic opportunity to build communities, right? And be an economic driver for the future of Guam. And I think that's the exciting part. And so thank you. And, definitely special thanks goes out to our HUD partners that came out. We met with them pretty often, and they had some really great training and meetings. And I just want to put it on the record, right, to really thank them for the opportunity to meet with them and come out and all their work. And what echoes in my mind, at least, you know, to the commissioners, is that they really want to be better engaged partners, and in order for them to do so, we also need to be able to update them more and keep them abreast about what are the things that are going on, and let them know, you know, what are the things that are going on, such as how long our waiting lists are, right? Because that's information they cannot pull, but it may be something of significance, you know, as they also have things that they're doing on their end, right? So thank you for that. Other than that, I mean, Deputy, would you like to say a few words before we depart?
Just, you know, to reiterate, I really appreciate the opportunity. Obviously, you know, I have a history of public service, but I think housing and community development is a passion of mine, right? What we do with our communities, especially when it comes to infrastructure, community development, is what's going to last for our children and grandchildren. It's what's going to keep our children and grandchildren here on the island or bring them home once they've gone abroad. So definitely passionate about the work here and happy to be working with such an engaged board. And from what I've seen so far, although be it short at this time, definitely a great group of professionals that are very knowledgeable. So I'm very excited for what I can contribute to this team and bring forward. So happy to be here. And thank you again to the board and Director Liz for the opportunity.
Well, again, welcome on board, right? Okay, moving on to item number 8, general discussions and announcements. Our next proposed board meeting is September 13th at 12 p.m. I'm sure Audrey will be sending out some of those announcements and or confirmations. Any other general announcements that anybody has? All right, hearing none, making a motion to adjourn.
I will make a motion to adjourn this meeting today.
Right, thank you, Commissioner Delia. May I get a second on that motion?
Second that.
Thank you, Commissioner Nate, right? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you very much. Call this meeting at 1:26. Thank you for all your work, everybody.
Thank you.
Have a good day. See ya.
Hey. Everybody.
I got a feeling when I saw Nathaniel. Oh, that's right.
Yeah.
You got the full name. You had the full